Hi, everybody. This is my overview of my technology integration plan. This is for a ninth grade English class. It's actually something that I've been working on, because the school year's starting on next Tuesday. So I've been working on my quarter one units and kind of planning out how that's going to look. And so I decided to kind of integrate the technology plan into that. So I decided to do my work on Google Sites. So the unit description, essentially quarter one, the whole goal is to help the ninth graders figure out high school, help them figure out, what is expected of them, how, high school is a bit more independent. There's less hand holding than in middle school. So my quarter one really deals with teaching them a lot of the terminology I use, teaching them, how to, schedule their homework, how to plan around stuff, how to really keep on top of tasks. And my quarter one unit revolves around circumstances and choices. I have quite a few small little, texts, short stories, all that revolve around, people making good choices, people making bad choices, circumstances affecting how people go about their daily lives. And the reason that I like this is it gives a nice little kind of teach them a nice lesson that there are circumstances that are out of our control, but also the choices we make affect the greater outcome. So the choice of do you actually go to class or do you not go to class, affects the greater outcome. Does it work on every student? No, but it's a nice little introduction to high school and kind of making your own choices. And so essentially what this quarter does is I introduce all these different elements. I teach, I figure out where students are. I talk a little bit about grammar and syntax and teach how to write a proper sentence and all that small stuff. But I also do a independent novel. And that's kind of a lot of what this quarter centers around. So independent novels, students get to choose, whatever novel they want, as long as it's, age appropriate and ability appropriate. It can be fiction or biography. The reason I do fiction or biography is because I want students to think about choices and circumstances, and those two kind of really deal with that. And that's kind of it. Beginning of each class period, students get a little bit of time to do some reading. They're also expected to read at home. And then we get into, other supplemental lessons. And what is expected of them from this is a few things. And this is where the technology comes in. Every week, students are going to be expected to blog. I'm looking at using WordPress. I also looked at Edutopia, which is actually a WordPress integration site that is a little bit more controlled for a teacher. I might be using that. I just need to kind of toy around with it for a little bit. But each week, students are going to be expected to post a blog post, so about 300 to 700 words. And this blog post should really just focus on choices and circumstances that can be something that happened in the novel, something that happened in their own life. I want them thinking about how do the choices I make or how do the choices the characters in my book make affect, their lives. They can talk about different ideas in the novel. I really want them to be writing. I want them to be reflecting on their reading. And this is going to be how I can kind of gauge whether or not students are reading is through these blog posts. I mean, for sure, students going to slip through the cracks and not do their reading and somehow fool me by reading stuff online. Honestly, at some point you cannot force a kid's eyes to go over the words. And so in addition to kind of blogging, I'm going to be expecting them to do to comment and read other students' blogs. I don't expect them to read the whole classrooms. That's asking a lot. But I will ask them to pick a few students, and I think we'll do this on Fridays, to read their blog post and comment on it. I think this is a great way to create community in the classroom, great way to teach some digital citizenship skills, because I will be looking at their responses to make sure that they have actual content and they are. I don't expect them to be perfectly grammatically correct, but I do expect them to kind of proofread a post before they post it. I think that's a good skill to have. So that's the first aspect of technology in this unit. The second aspect of technology is going to be a Goodreads review. Goodreads I really like as a means of introducing students to novels that they might not know about and that they might be interested in. And so posting reviews on Goodreads is going to be a great way to kind of have my students write a summary so that I can tell whether or not they read, but also gauge, whether they like the story or not. So Goodreads review, I'm going to kind of break it down into 3 criteria. Summary, do they talk about the main ideas, themes, characters of the novel? Critique, what did they like about it? What did they not like about it? What do they think of the book? And then just mechanics. Did they use proper grammar, sentence structure, all that fun stuff. And then the final culminating project, this is actually something I changed. Actually, the blogs I did as well. Blogs, we did journals last year, but so I'm changing the journals to blogs. And then digital narrative. Last year, we just did a narrative where they had to tell a story where they made a choice and it changed their circumstances. Or they made a choice and it changed their lives. This year, we're going to be doing it in a digital way. So we've been touching on narrative elements throughout the quarter and how they help structure a story. So the culminating digital narrative is we're going to essentially start by writing out a draft of our narrative. We're going to, they can choose whether or not to write about their own experiences in the book, whatever. I want them just kind of writing out a narrative, so telling a story, and then I want them to record it. We're going to have a little bit of time in the class to kind of work on how to use recording, how to clip, how to add images, all that fun stuff. I think what we'll end up using is VoiceThread for the digital narratives. It just seems such an easy way to, like, place where I can put them all, and so grading will be just a little bit more streamlined. But yeah, so that digital narrative is going to be them kind of reflecting on choices and circumstances and telling a story about how they kind of affected someone's life. And so my students are on Chromebooks, so all of the texts that we read are going to be, digital, except for their personal book. And then, I have a Google Classroom, so every assignment is posted on Google Classroom and graded through Google Classroom. So, while these 3 pieces are the main technology components, I have a pretty paperless classroom. Some other pieces of my site, the unit plan. You can see this is actually once it loads, this is my real unit plan. MYP is just a type of scholarship program we have. But yeah, you can see key concepts, related concepts, all the objectives. I was thinking about adding some technology objectives. I need to kind of get a hold of the technology objectives and standards. So I'll probably be tweaking this a little bit. But for right now, here's kind of what we have. Learning experiences, Goodreads, all that fun stuff. Week 1, it kind of breaks it down. There's definitely, no plan sees the light of day perfectly. For sure, makeup and reteach, I have a whole week here just because I know I'm going to get behind. And in my thing, it says 10 blog posts. I don't know if they're going to make it 10 blog posts, especially since we have 9 weeks. So I doubt that. I'll probably tweak that as well. But those will all be pieces of the plan. And then at the bottom we have differentiation for ESS and ELD students. Most of my students are ELL, so they are lower level English learners. They're not NEPs, but they're 3s and 4s, so a limited and growing English proficiency. So the reason that I did the digital narrative is last year I found that they kind of shut down when I asked them to write a whole story out and kind of put it in front of people. So I think that them telling the story, they're definitely going to have to write it out, but I think that them not having to give me the piece of paper, or at least not being graded on their mechanics and stuff, like their spelling, I think it's a great way for them to grow confidence. And same with the blog posts. I think the blog posts are going to be a great way for them to practice their writing and practice sharing their voice, which is incredibly important for these students because English isn't their first language. And so, that ability, that practice is really going to go a long way in kind of setting up the year, setting up their actually whole high school career and saying, hey, I can do this. I have these skills. I have the ability. So yeah, last page is just a blog rubric. I also going to add my digital narrative rubric, but I need to talk to my team before I'm able to kind of tweak the narrative rubric. So I'm not actually able to add that yet. But I think once we get that, I'm seeing them on Thursday, I'll try and bring that up and see if I can tweak it and put it on here. Otherwise, blog rubric, I got this online. I will go back and kind of add the source. Yeah, this is just the blog rubric. It's a 4-point scale, pretty easy. Are they posting it on time? Or do they have ideas and content? Writing quality, community? Do they actually engage with their classmates? And then use of enhancements. Are they adding video, audio, images, other add-ons? So that is my technology integration plan. Thank you for taking the time to kind of go over it. Have a great day.